Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm doing a comeback video because it turns out the game is not dead. I don't know if you guys watched my last video, but it was me questioning whether the game is dead or not, and I have received confirmation we are getting new content. There is a new hero coming next update. And is this aligned? There we go. Oh, right there. And I wanted to make an update video covering my thoughts on the game I've had these past 40 days that I haven't gotten the chance to share because I haven't been uploading. And also, we recently got a patch which seemed to nerf Spirit Steward, and I want to talk about that as well, how I feel about that, how the community feels about it, and all that good stuff, what I've been up to. Just a chill, laid-back video where I talk pretty much. So we got a patch. I guess first I'll start off with the new content. So we have a new update in 7 days. And it appears we're right back on track to getting new updates. Now, I'm still confused why we didn't get an update last cycle, but hey, if we're getting new content, I can't really complain. I hope it's relevant content that will actually be good and affect the game. I hope Sacred Warrior gets his enchant skill after 6 months. And yeah, we'll see. I'll obviously make a video covering that when it comes out in 7 days. Next, we received a patch that significantly changes the game forever, in that Spirit Steward was nerfed. Now, according to IGG, this whole time, for the past 6-8 months or so, her enchant skill was actually bugged. And they finally reworked it because it was getting so out of hand. So according to IGG, this was only ever supposed to activate once. In other words, it was supposed to be a coin toss, 50-50, whether you remove the invincibility of the hero. Now, how it actually worked before this most recent patch, it was basically a 100% chance. It was 50% chance per each damage instance, but because it had no limit, every time you damage an enemy, you re-roll that 50% chance to remove the invincibility. So if you don't do it on the first attack, they'll do it on the second. It basically gave you a 100% guaranteed chance to remove invincibility. Now, it truly is a 50% chance. After the very first damage instance you deal to an enemy, you no longer have more opportunities to gain this chance-based effect to remove invincibility. So it truly is a 50-50. Now, there's a few conflicting opinions I have about this. On one hand, this is really good for the game because it was insanely overpowered and it negated so much defensive content that defense was just down really bad. And the game was just boring. Like, let's just be honest. Offense was way too strong. Defense couldn't do anything. The one thing defense had going for it was pretty much invincibility with Ravager Aid, Dragonheart, all that stuff. And it was completely useless because of one enchant skill. Now, there will be some effectiveness to it. The issue I have with this update is that it's not skill-based. Like, there is a 50% chance to remove invincibility, but whether you remove it or you don't is completely up to luck. And because invincibility is such a strong mechanic in the game, the difference between removing it and not removing it could determine and affect the outcome of the entire battle, whether you win or lose. And just to know that every single time you're basically rolling the dice, you're flipping a coin, hoping for heads or tails, and that is entirely outside of your control is a little bit, it's kind of dumb in my opinion. Like, it has nothing to do with how talented you are or how well you strategize. It's completely luck based. Now, at the end of the day, it was nerfed enough to where like it feels like it's in a good spot right now, honestly. But I just don't like the idea that a battle can be determined simply by the luck of the draw. Now, this is one of the few, if maybe not the only mechanic in the game that is like that, where it's like super, super luck based. But those are my thoughts. Now, a lot of the community is really upset with this change, and I'm genuinely confused how. I think a lot of people are obviously offensive players, and they got comfortable and content with having the game be much easier than it was before this enchant skill was added. So now that it's, balanced again, people are upset, but I think it's obviously a step in the right direction. If you were happy with how the game was going before this update, I don't know. Yes, I am a defensive player, but I strongly think it was just in an awful state. But I am curious to see how the new content affects the state of the game. I hope it is impactful and not some random stuff like Rose Duelist or something, but we'll see. Now, another thing that I'm curious about is whether this change was enough to make offense and defense balanced. Seems like it might be. I think the game is probably overall a bit offensively favored still, but I have heard from other people that they do think there was more to this update than meets the eye. Yes, IGG did address that the Spirit Steward enchant skill was nerfed, but some people are speculating there were some hidden under-the-scenes changes as well, whether that means defensive heroes are tankier, offensive heroes do less damage. I don't know about that. I haven't seen any evidence or anything to prove that theory yet. That's all speculation, but I think it really comes down to this enchant skill. I think it was justified. And yeah, those are my thoughts. One other thing I wanted to cover in this video is a new realization I had about strategizing in this game. And it is related to the Glyph update that added another 3 new Glyph slots to each hero. And I think this update at first glance was like really frustrating because it was just overkill. But now I look back and I feel like it is a healthy update because it literally gives every single hero infinitely more possibilities to strategize with in terms of glyph combinations. And I think there were so many combinations of glyph sets that you literally could not even tangibly do on a hero that you can have endless freedom to do and explore now. I think there's also a lot of hidden, underrated OP glyph combinations out there that the community has simply not explored that you can now explore with this update. And I think players that stretch their imagination and choose to be creative and theorize new strategies could end up finding some really OP mechanics that originally did not exist. And like for example, you just couldn't combine certain glyph sets together because of the slot limitations that you can now combine. And I think it opens the doorway for a lot more potential and strategy. The last thing I'll say about this update is I made a glyph tier list video a few months ago where I grouped glyphs into like good glyph sets, medium, and bad. At this point, I honestly don't think there is a bad glyph set in the game. I would say this one is probably the weakest by a respectable margin, but other than that, I truly think every single glyph set has a unique purpose, and having more glyph slots on every hero is actually a buff to weaker glyph sets because now you have a purpose for them in that you can fit them on a hero, whereas otherwise before the update they'd be on the sidelines because they weren't good enough. But now, let's say you have this glyph set, this one, they're all pretty mediocre. This one's pretty mediocre, but now they're actually really good because you have so much room to fit them on a hero, meaning they serve a purpose now. So I think it, looking back, was a healthy update in that it didn't make older, weaker glyph sets useless and phase them out. It actually brought them back into the meta. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I will have another video in 7 days going over the new update, and I hope you guys like ninja heroes, because we might just be getting a ninja in the game. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one.